Heart rate training. It's one of the most powerful tools we have as runners. It promises smarter recovery, better aerobic development, and fewer injuries. But what happens when it's hot out? You're out for an easy run, but your heart rate says it's super high, even though you're barely moving. So you slow down even more, and it still spikes. You start asking, is my watch broken? Is my fitness gone? Or does heart rate training just not work in the heat? That's the question we're diving into today. But first, let me give you some context. I ran my first marathon in 2019. No coach, no real plan, just a belief that I could finish. I didn't just finish, I won the Bergen Marathon in 3 hours and 5 minutes. And that moment changed my life. My Olympic dream was born. And just 7 months later, I ran a 2:46 marathon. But here's the part most people don't see. The years that followed were brutal. I made absolutely every single mistake possible. I overtrained, I underfueled, I pushed through fatigue, and I ended up with 6 stress fractures in 4 years. And eventually, I had to stop chasing paces and start chasing smart training. And that's when I discovered heart rate-based training. And heart rate training helped me go from being injured at 60 kilometers per week with 5 runs to 140 kilometers per week with 14 runs in a row. And today I coach runners all over the world. And one of the most common questions I get is, does heart rate training even work in the heat? So let's find out. Why heat messes with your heart rate? Let's start with the science. When you run in the heat, your body has one job: keep you alive. To do that, it sends more blood to your skin to help cool you down, which means less blood is going to your working muscles. So what happens? Your heart has to beat faster to do the same amount of work. Even if your pace stays exactly the same, your heart rate rises. And this is called cardiovascular drift, and it's completely normal. But here's the trap, and I've fallen into it too. We see our heart rate numbers climb and panic. We think the data is off, or worse, that our fitness is gone. And maybe you've heard horror stories, and now you're afraid that you'll be one of them. So we try to force the heart rate down, or we ignore it completely and just push through. Both can backfire. So what should you actually do? The zone 2 trap in hot weather. So let's say your zone 2 cap is 140 BPM in cool weather. No problem. But say it's 85 degrees Fahrenheit, that's about 29 degrees Celsius, and humid, you're jogging and your heart rate is already at 155. If you force it back down, you might be walking. If you ignore it, you risk turning an easy run into a threshold session. Here's what I've learned and what I now teach my athletes. Your heart rate zones don't exist in a vacuum. They change with sleep, stress, hydration, fatigue, and especially heat. And that's not a flaw in the system. That's the power of heart rate training. It reflects what your body is going through today. My summer of heart rate training gone wrong. I learned this the hard way. 4 years ago, I moved to San Diego. Growing up in Oslo, I'd never experienced real heat. I know what I deal with here isn't as intense as what you might be dealing with in Florida, Texas, Singapore, or Australia during summer, but even a moderate heat wave was enough to shake me. I was deep into heart rate training and committed to my numbers. Then the temperature soared, and every run became miserable. I slowed down, I walked, I stressed, I felt like I was losing fitness, not gaining it, but I wasn't actually recovering. I was just obsessing over numbers instead of listening to my body. And after doing tons of research and using my own experiences as a coach, I learned the heart rate training in the heat isn't broken. It just needs a smarter approach. How I train with heart rate in the heat now. So here is what I do now and what I coach my athlete to do as well. 1, I use a treadmill when it's extra hot. This doesn't make you weak. Treadmill running is real running. And as a Norwegian athlete, I've done winters entirely on the treadmill. So does Jacob Ingebrigtsen. So did my coach Ingrid Christensen, who ran a world record marathon and won Boston. I've done countless 2+ hour long runs staring at a wall. And while some people might call that crazy, I call it focus. It builds serious mental strength. 2, soak your t-shirt in cold water. It's not just about drinking water, it's also about cooling the skin. And research shows that surface cooling can reduce cardiovascular strain. And that's why races offer sponges and showers. And you can do the same. You can loop past your house, soak your t-shirt, and go again. It's so worth it to take short breaks to stay cool. 3. Prioritize hydration plus electrolytes. So heat increases sweat rate, which means faster dehydration and a higher heart rate. I recommend front-loading your electrolytes in the morning, and I aim for 500 to 700 milligrams of sodium per hour in longer efforts. 4. Run during cooler hours. Early morning or evening is your best friend in the heat. Plan ahead, it makes a huge difference. 5. Nutrition in the heat. If you're keeping heart rate consistent, you may not need more carbs, but hydration is more important than ever. And remember, if you're losing salt through sweat, you absolutely need to replace it. If you're liking this video, make sure to subscribe because coming up on my channel, I'm breaking down how to use heart rate training in a hilly terrain where your heart rate spikes even when you're going slow. Subscribe so you don't miss that video. So does heart rate training work in the heat? Yes, but only if you know what your body is telling you. Heart rate training isn't broken. Your heart rate isn't broken. It's doing its job, responding to your environment, your effort, your recovery. And it's so tempting to convince yourself that you're not working hard just because you're going slow. But the truth is, your heart is working harder, and that's why you have to listen. Now, I get asked this a lot. If I have to walk to stay in zone 2, should I? Here's my answer. If your goal is running, try to keep running, even if it's slow, even if you could walk faster, because you're training your running muscles and motor patterns. And remember that your body doesn't know pace, it knows effort. So run slow, train smart, leave your ego at the door, and when you do run on a treadmill or in cool weather, you'll realize you haven't lost fitness. You've built resilience. Why my heart rate training plans work. So yes, you can absolutely still follow heart rate based training plans when it's hot. You just have to train smarter, not harder. That's exactly what I help runners do inside my plans. And they work. Just look at Carrie. She went from a 41-minute 5K to a sub 28 using my 4-day plan. Or Ted, who brought his 10K time down from 55 to 49 minutes in just a few months. What makes these plans different? They're built on heart rate and time on feet, not pace or unrealistic mileage. You'll train in the right zones based on your actual max heart rate, not a generic formula. You'll get structured progression, built-in deload, and smart rate-specific workouts so you peak at the right time without burning out. And because I've made absolutely every mistake myself, these plans teach you to train with intention, not ego. They also come with warm-ups, recovery tips, cross-training options, strength training guidance, and a full mindset framework. These are the exact tools I've used to go from stretch fractures at 60 kilometers per week to running up to 140 kilometers per week injury-free. And if you're tired of winging it or stuck plateauing or just want to feel better and race stronger, this is the path. And yes, there's a money back guarantee because honestly, I know that this works. So if you've ever felt frustrated trying to train smarter in the heat, you're definitely not alone. And I hope this video has helped. Let me know in the comments, what's the weather like where you run, and do you have any heat tips to share with the community? Check out my heart rate training plans, link is in the description, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next Friday. And if you're curious whether the long run is overrated or essential, then check out this video next.